talk about looking at your business at the first layer of granularity, and that's transient versus group. We all know that there's enormous opportunities for yielding within our bar-rated business and our FIT transient. But one of the other key areas is also looking at your groups, and not just looking at necessarily what your average group price is going to be, or what your cancellation policy is going to be, or what your minimum length of stay is going to be by season, etc. But understanding pricing sensitivity within each of your group segments. So understanding perhaps how a corporate group's price sensitivity is, not just on rooms, but their price sensitivity for a corporate group, say for example for paying room rental, versus a wholesale group, on how their pricing sensitivity sits around ancillary elements such as food and beverage inclusions, versus perhaps how a wedding group, their price sensitivity is. They may not wish to pay room rental, but they'd be very happy to pay higher rates perhaps for flowers or audiovisual or staging elements, or perhaps table decorations. It's also important to understand within those groups and those function elements the different profitability levels that sit within each of those revenue streams within your hotel. Would you like to take a group that has $50,000 in food and beverage spend, but that could be on a 38% profit margin, versus a group that's going to spend $40,000 in room hire, for example, and they're going to do their own catering? Well, if we're only looking at revenue across that group and analysing that, logic says that the dinner event at the $50,000 is obviously much more attractive if we're only tracking revenue. But realistically, the room-only event with the room rental is much more profitable because 100% of that is profit. There's no cost. So we need to understand those elements, and also start to be able to understand how you can perhaps move revenue from one to the other, in terms of, well, if you're sensitive to paying room rental, perhaps if I need to move $2,000 out of room rental, I actually perhaps need to get $4,000 or $5,000 in food and beverage, because purely of the profit margin measurement components. It's also important to factor things like commission payments into that. So to start to think about profitability when you're looking at your groups. And then when you're undertaking those analysis, understand that you could potentially, by moving a group's date, achieve better profitability at a lower rate, but because it purely has less displacement, it is a more profitable and therefore a more attractive and more sensible piece of business to attain. But again, this is a process and a step. And at Ideas, we're happy to help you with those things, and we have automated tools. But even if you're in a manual environment, these are the types of conversations, if you're not having them today, that you should be having within your organisation as you move from a revenue-centric approach to a profitability-centric approach.